Pastor James.
Hi.
Thank you for taking time to be here in Singapore.
Amen.
I believe as you prepare yourself for this series of revival meetings and train for the intercessors, you must have sought the Lord. What would be some of the greatest burden that God has placed in your heart for Singapore this round?
Amen. So, first of all, I thank the Lord for bringing me back to Singapore. It's my second time to be in this nation, and I've been having a burden for this nation. The Lord has positioned this nation, Singapore, as a center of revival. It's a birthing nation. And what has been on my heart and what God has been telling me, this is the time. As we go in 2018, God is preparing the church in Singapore for a great move come next year, 2018. I believe in this season, there's a rising of the end-time army that will rise from this nation of Singapore and then go different parts of the world. So when God sent me to Singapore this time, He said, go and train and teach my people what we call strategic, prophetic, spiritual warfare. How people to operate in the spirit realm while influencing earth for the purposes of God. Because in every nation, God raises a voice. And I believe God is raising a prophetic voice from different churches as intercessors, as prayer warriors, and as watchmen to prepare the nation for a move of God. Yes.
I believe you'll be sharing more next week, but at this moment, would we be able to tell us some of the prayer strategies that you will want to share with the churches here?
Okay. There are 4 prayer strategies that I believe that's what the Lord is raising this army to do. One is to raise men and women that can do what we call opening highways in the spirit realm, how to operate in different highways. What does that mean, that prayer strategy? God raising watchmen that will identify places and seasons that have had the visitation of the Lord and open the wells of revival. There are churches, there are places in this nation that have ever had a visitation. A revival has ever happened in those places. And then suddenly they went cold. Now the Lord wants men and women that will reopen those places. That's strategy number 1, reopen the wells, or what we call praying in the highways. Strategy number 2 is men and women that will blow the sound. We want to, in this training, we'll be talking about the harp and the trumpet or the shofar. How to strategize in prayer to blow the shofar and then play the harp as a prophetic weapon of warfare in the end time. And number 4, it is what we call the prayer networking. Then number 3, there must be a way of networking. All prayer groups, prayer houses, intercessors, watchmen, prophets and prophetesses in the land, how to network and become a voice of prophets in the land. And strategy number 4 is what we call prophetic worship. How people can do prophetic worship and ascend above dominions, principalities and powers and sit with Christ in heavenly places in order to see the destiny of Singapore fulfilled in God. Because God is raising this nation as a prophetic and apostolic voice in the region.
Thank you for the 4 strategies. Now, Singapore is a fast-paced nation. How would you advise the churches here equip our people for the task of fulfilling God's call for this end time?
As a nation and also as a church, we need to move from the attitude of performance to go to the attitude of godliness. Because if we are to see transformation, we should move our people from being entertained to bring them to committing themselves to walk a godly life. What does it mean? Godliness moves beyond the gift of a man and the anointing of a man to the character of Christ formed in a man. So in the season we are in right now, what are we seeing? We're seeing a lot of things coming here and there. There is a fast-paced nation, technology and what. But all that, after all is said and done, we should encourage our people and teach them and train them how to conduct themselves in the presence of God. What does that mean? It means the church should now be so concerned about the presence of God than the property we own as churches.
This brings me to the next question. What would be some of the misconceptions or poor practices that you think the people of God have concerning prayer?
One, it has been in the area of deliverance. In the area of deliverance, when we talk about deliverance, what comes to many people, it is about curses and demons. Cast out demon, this evil spirit. So you find that in the prayer people or in the church, people are more demon conscious than God conscious. They can easily, we say demon, there's a spirit here, the spirit here, that's the spirit. And at the end of the day, we find that to many people in church, it seems as if the devil is so powerful. He's at work everywhere. He's in the corner. He's on the street. He's everywhere, forgetting that God is great. So we need, in this training, we want to understand the difference between supernatural and divine. Many people know the supernatural, but few have had an encounter with the divine nature of God, the divine presence and the divine power. That's number one. Number two, many people, we have been thinking in church that prayer is work. Prayer is not work. Prayer is communion. Prayer is fellowship. You are, to many it's like I have to put an effort, I have to fast, I have to pray, I have to sweat. All of those are okay as long as you are doing them in the rest that Christ has achieved for you. We pray from the place of rest, not from the place of working. The third, one thing I want to, what I've seen in different nations, it is prayer for sale. What do you pray for sale? If you give me money, I'll pray for you. If you give this amount of money, you get a miracle. If you give this, so at the end of the day, it's like I am buying prayer. We are selling prayer. Now, we should move from that. The prayer is not for sale. Prayer is for transformation. And last, excuse me, we've looked at prayers to some special people. The pastor, the evangelist, the prophet, the intercessors, those people that are saying we are intercessors in church. But prayer is for every Christian, every child of God. God gave us a way to reach him, and that is prayer. Prayer is not telling God what you want. Prayer is fellowship with God. What does it have? There is thanksgiving and praise. There's prayer of petition, prayer of intercession, prayer of dedication, prayer of sanctification, prayer of victory, prayer of warfare, and prayer of possession. All of these are kinds of prayer that every Christian should be practicing. So we are going to be there. We want to move from prayer of saying, let me go to God with my needs. And now prayer becomes a lifestyle. Not just an event, but a lifestyle. It has thanksgiving, petition, intercession. There is prayer in the courts of heaven. All of these are what we are going to be looking at so that people can understand prayer in a different way.